So the idea that a bunch of bureaucrats in 2020, 2021 get to come along and set aside our rule of law, claiming there's a public health emergency, is not legal, it's not lawful, it's not moral, it's not ethical. So what we're doing is identifying people who are breaking the law, and we're serving them with a notice of liability, which says to the individual, you personally are causing harm. You personally are in breach of not only the common law, but in the international treaties, the European conventions, UK domestic law. And we're saying to people, you are individually accountable and liable in your personal capacity, criminally and civilly. There is nowhere to run. There is nowhere to hide. No one is going to defend you, because the law says you must uphold the law, you must not cause harm, and you are personally liable. The fact is, on the evidence, it's wounding with intent under Section 20 of the Offences Against the Person Act. The moment you pierce someone's skin, that's a wound. It's only lawful if they've consented, lawful consent. If they haven't, you've committed the crime of wounding them, and you intended to do it because you intended to stick the needle in. So anything that flows from that is your personal liability. Anyone who's facilitated that. So, you know, people have to understand that. They're on the wrong side of the law and on the wrong side of history. And for people who say to me, I'm threatening them, I am not threatening them. I am a messenger. I am reading the law. I'm telling people what the law says. It's the law that's threatening them. You know, the International Military Tribunal judgments of the Nuremberg trials set out very clearly what the law is. I invite anyone to read those judgments. They are critical reading. And they clearly say you are responsible for your own actions and omissions. You don't get to say, I was just following orders. You don't get to turn a blind eye. And those people who do are held accountable. And unfortunately, those who were found guilty, because the death penalty applied, they were either hanged or they were put in prison. That's what people face. They need to understand it. And ignorance of the law is no defense. Nobody knows what's going to happen. We don't have the long-term safety data. How can a child of 5 agree to that? And the parents can't agree because on the evidence, they are being lied to, they are being misled, it's deceitful, it's fraudulent, criminally fraudulent. And the expert evidence of the psychiatrists and the psychologists who have been analysing the Mindspace document, they've been analysing the messenger from the media, etc. They've been analysing the Stephen Hawkins Foundation document. And they have said, and I quote and I summarise, that not a single person in the UK is able to give their informed consent due to the military-grade psychological warfare that's being conducted on them. Now, let alone children. Now, what that means is that no consent that's been obtained is lawful or legal. So that means that every person who's been injected, even though they appear to have given their consent, have been battered, they've been assaulted, they've been wounded, right? So any deaths, any injury, that's a criminal act. This is very serious. These are the biggest crimes against humanity ever committed in the history of humankind. And the fact is that the law prohibits it. We have precedents, we have the law. So it's not like this is a new situation. We've been through this all before. So anyone who thinks that they're not going to be blamed and not going to be held accountable does not know their history. What happened after the last war? People's courts were formed in all jurisdictions. People knew who the perpetrators were, who the complicit people were in their local communities. They found them, they took them from their homes, they put them in court, they judged them, and they handed down the sentence. And I watched, for example, the execution of the Ceausescus from the Romanian Revolution. I watched their trial last night, and you know, they were found guilty, they were taken outside, and they were shot. And unfortunately, I didn't write that history. That's nothing to do with me. I'm telling people that that's what happens. People seek justice beyond the grave. People have died for millennia over freedom. So anyone who thinks that people aren't going to fight for justice and freedom, I don't know what they're thinking. They need to give their head a wobble. Hold the line, stand your ground, step into your sovereignty, because this is all just a matter of time. These measures are illegal, unlawful, unethical, immoral. They will not stand up to court scrutiny around the world. They might get away with it in certain jurisdictions, but there are countries running these cases all around the world. We are going to get the right results.
So be patient.
Be patient, hold the line. In the meantime, use that time to spread the word, gem up on your rights. It's as simple as saying no. We are ruled by consent. Well, we're not actually ruled. These are our public servants. We are governed by consent, right? So if you don't consent to these measures, right, they cannot force you to. They might claim that they can, but you've found that a lot of the cases that have gone to court have been dropped because they're illegal.
Yeah.
It's all just a threat, a coercion. It's a way to make you comply.